Hey guys, it is World Mental Health Day. So I decided to record a video that I actually hadn't planned to record for a few months because it's not going to be an easy one. I'll just give you a heads up that I'm going to cry. I'm just a crier. If I'm too happy or too sad, I tend to cry. And I just want to give you a trigger warning too. I am going to talk about what it feels like in my head when I feel depressed, and I'm going to be very honest about that. So I just want to give you that heads up. So yeah, I want to talk about what it feels like when I feel depressed and then why it's also hard to reach out during that time. Whew. So depression for me feels like this gnawing inside that my soul, heart, not my physical beating heart, but like my essence. It feels like my insides are just being gnawed at. There's this awful, burning, gnawing sensation that I just want to stop. And I think that's a lot of times why we reach for different vices, whether it's alcohol or drugs or food or whatever the vice may be, because we are doing whatever we can in that moment to get that pain to just go away. And also that's when I have contemplated suicide, because I'm not really wanting to die. I'm not wanting to end my life. I'm wanting the pain to stop. I know there have been so many times I've wished there was some magic pill that I could take where I could go to sleep for a few days and wake up and magically feel better. That's all I want, is a break from the pain. Unfortunately, no magic pill exists. So I'm just left with this gnawing, burning sensation that I don't know what to do with a lot of times. And then this, depression monster, if you will. This depression monster starts telling you awful things about yourself, about how broken or damaged or dysfunctional you are. I know when I was pregnant, it was telling me how broken and damaged I was, and there was no possible way that I deserved to be a mom. And there was no way I was going to be a good mom or raise a happy, healthy human being, because I was just too dysfunctional for that to happen. Side note, I have seriously the happiest, most content baby. So if you're in this position right now, if you suffer from depression and worry if you're going to be a good parent, you can. It's possible. But again, so that's some of the things it's telling me. But then it's also telling me that the people closest to me, like for me, it's my mom and my husband, it's telling me about how I am such a burden, that this depression and these emotional breakdowns I have, about how I am such a burden to them that their lives would be better if I wasn't here. In this logical, rational, content brain that I'm in right now, I realize that's not true. Their lives would be wrecked if I weren't here. But in that depressed brain, no. I'm convinced that their lives would be better if I wasn't here, that they would just have this sense of relief if I wasn't here. And I know that's not true. I don't care who you are or what you've been through or what you've done. You matter to someone. There are people whose lives would be ruined if you weren't here. So I just want to say that for anyone who may be watching, you matter to someone. I promise you, you do. So it's telling me that these people that are closest to me, about how I'm a burden to them. And then it likes to tell me about these friends that I don't hear from for weeks or months, about how I don't matter to them. They don't care about me, and that's why I don't hear from them, because I just simply don't matter in their lives. And guys, again, in this logical, content brain that I'm in right now, I get it. Lives are busy, they're chaotic, and days go by so quickly, and it'll magically be months and we realize we haven't heard from certain friends. So in this brain I'm in right now, I get that it's not personal, that my friends do care about me. Life just gets away from us sometimes. But again, in that depressed brain, nope, it's telling me how broken and damaged I am. I'm a burden to the people that are closest to me. And then outside of those immediate people, I just don't matter. That's what it's telling me. So then that's how I'm feeling. And then why it's hard to reach out is because, number one, again, I don't want to be a burden. I realize that people have their own life stuff, their own emotional stuff, their crazy schedules and families and friends and jobs. They have their own stuff to deal with, and I don't want this stuff I'm going through to pile on top of what they're already dealing with. I don't want to be a burden or a bother. Or because it's hard to articulate, especially when I'm depressed. Number one, it's just not easy to explain how I feel, what's going on in my brain at that moment. But especially when I'm depressed, the idea of forming multiple sentences to try to explain to someone how I feel is just exhausting. And in fact, in that time, it seems impossible. And if you're met with, well, why do you feel this way? Well, what's wrong? Well, what's going on? The most I can muster up at that point is, I don't know. I don't know. Because it's tough to explain. And at that moment, that gnawing, empty numbness, like it just, it's tough to explain. Or lastly, I'm worried that I will be met with, well, what do you have to be sad about? Or the people that just think that medication and therapy are for the birds and you just need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and deal with it. And quite frankly, depression isn't anything that can just be dealt with. There are some people, I know for me, for a period, medication was life-saving. So there are people that medication really, really helps. And then, goodness, therapy could help anyone. I don't know anyone that is so together and whole that they don't need therapy or would benefit from therapy of some sort. Counseling could be useful to anyone. So I'm also worried that I'm going to be met with that type of attitude. And how to tell you, in that depressed brain and you're feeling so much shame already, and then to be met with that kind of opposition, if you will, that can make you feel worse. So that's why I personally don't reach out. I don't want to be a burden. It's hard to explain, and then I'm worried about what kind of response I'm going to get. So at this point, I've reached a point where I can at least text my mom or my husband and say I'm struggling. I don't have to say much more. And at that point what I need to know, and maybe this will help you with some of your friends, what I need to know at that point is I matter. And again, it may not sink in immediately, but it does help to know that I matter, that their lives would be different if I weren't here. And also, I need to be reminded not to make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. And I also have developed an emergency toolkit, if you will. It's a box that has things that can at least get me to pause for a moment. I also have this emergency toolkit on my phone, and I'm going to do another video about how to make one for yourself, because it helps if you can just pause and breathe for a moment and be reminded of different things. It can be helpful. So guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope if you have felt depressed, maybe this gives you some comfort to know that someone else has felt that way. Or if you have friends or family members and they struggle and you've never really quite understood, maybe this gives you a small glimpse into what they may be dealing with. Not everyone that's depressed feels the exact same way, or maybe there's no one that feels this exact same way, but maybe it gives you a small glimpse into what they may be dealing with. Be kind to one another. Check in on your friends. Maybe make it a goal that you have one new friend each day that you text, just to let them know you're thinking of them and that they matter to you. So just be kind, guys. Thanks so much for joining me.